intuitive heart healer, the love guru, Blaire Allison. Blaire can be found on the web at loveguru.net and datingtipsfordudes.com. And now your host, Blaire Allison.
Hi, everybody. Oh, we got a double whammy. Okay. We had a little special music, a double music for today's show. I don't know what happened in the control panel here, but welcome, welcome. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here with you. This is Blaire, and I am an intuitive heart healer known as the Love Guru, and I'm your host for Love Life Heart Confessions. And for this next hour, I'm going to be bringing you a special guest. I'm really excited about today's show. I think it's very interesting. Today's topic is called, what did I name this here? He had affairs when he was away for business. And he says that, hey, stuff happens. So, I mean, there's a lot we're going to go over with this special guest. He is divorced now, as maybe you might assume, since he had affairs when he was away on business. But, you know, let's get inside his mind. Let's hear how this happened. He was married for 19 years. So before we get to him, I just want to give a little bit of a rundown. The way that the show works is usually each week we have a new topic, a new guest, something about love and relationships that I bring to you, and I ask the questions about what really happens in people's love lives so we can learn about them. It's not a gossip show, but it's really a way that people can share the truth, their truth. And this truth is healing for them, to be sharing their story, to be honest. A lot of times we feel like we need to hide who we are or our true story, afraid of how people are going to judge us. And this is also beneficial for you listening out there because, you know, we're not alone. No matter what experience you're going through and maybe whatever experience you're hiding that's happening in your life, it's happening to other people too. And really the reason that motivated me behind all of this was from my own story. I went through my own transformation with my love life in 2004 through my Mary Blaire website. And I'm not going to share the story today with you guys. I shared it in some other past episodes. If you do want a quick rundown about the story, my Mary Blaire story, go to www.maryblaire, that's MARRYBLAIRE.com. And it's like one page. You could check out my story. It was really interesting, and it got a lot of press recognition. It went all across the world. My website about my search for a husband. So, like I said, normally on these shows I interview somebody. Before I interview them, I usually share some tips about the guests that we had the week before, about lessons to learn from their experience. But last week we didn't have a show, and then the week before that I taught on a subject. It was spiritual relationships versus surface relationships. So there's no commentary for that. I have nothing to say since it was me that was teaching. You could go listen to that. It was an interesting show. So I'm going to bring on my guest, and if you have comments for him, feel free to call in. The call-in number is 347-324-3904. So feel free to call in with questions or comments about for my guest when I'm interviewing him. And the second half of the show, I'm going to be taking your questions. So, you know, what's going on in your life, love life? You know, what's going on in your dating life or your relationship? And even if it's nothing, call in. We'll talk about it. We'll find out why it's nothing, and I'll give you some guidance on how it can be something happening there. Okay, so without further ado, actually, before I even go to him, I just wanted to do a quick thank you to everybody who has marked this show their favorite. We've been getting so many listens each week. And thank you for that. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you listening, and I'm happy that you like the show. And please click the favorite link. And thank you to everybody who has favorited their show. It's so exciting to get an email during the week that someone has favorited this show. And thank you. When I get that, I send love back your way because you make me feel good when you do that. And also when you favorite a show, you'll get reminded of when it's on and the topic. Okay, so now I am going to bring on my guest. Today, let me do a little bit of an introduction. His name is Tim, and he is 56 years old. He was married when he was 25 and divorced 19 years later. And like I had said in the beginning of the show, that he had affairs. He was away sometimes on business, and he had affairs. Things happen when you're away. And we're just going to hear a whole bunch about his story. So let me welcome Tim, and let me do a little crowd applause here. There we go.
Thank you, Blaire.
Welcome, Tim.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not so sure if I like that crowd applause or not. I might be jumping it. So let's get into this. Just as a little fast forward, Tim does have a girlfriend now, so we're gonna, if we have time, we're gonna examine a little bit about that. But let's see if you could take us back to, you got married when you were 25.
Right.
How did you meet this woman, and how long were you dating before you got married?
Well, we actually had met in college, but we were dating other people in college, and I actually knew her brother, who was in my fraternity. So it was kind of like, she came to all the fraternity parties, and I think she dated two of my roommates at one time. So we just, we knew each other, but we were dating other people. And then I actually, a year after we graduated, I called the house, and she was living at home, and her brother was living at home. And I said, she says, I bet you want to talk to my brother. He's not here. I said, no, I don't want to talk to your brother. I want to talk to you.
Wait, how did you decide? Like, you were just thinking about her after you graduated?
Yeah, I just thought she was pretty, pretty cute, and I liked her personality, and, I just had been thinking about her, and I had broke it off with my girlfriend prior to that, I guess, 6-7 months prior or something, I guess. So I just gave her a call. So she was surprised that I was calling for her.
Yeah, what made you think of her? Was it like, okay, I broke up with my ex, now let me go through the list of, people who I thought was cute, and,
well,
how did that happen?
Well, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I don't think I have it anymore, but I used to have a piece of paper the size of a business card in my wallet, and I did make a list of, I remember when in my youth, I made a list of maybe there are 3 or 4 women on the list, and, That were what were they, standbys or a wish list? No, just I call it a wish list. Yeah, just kind of girls that I knew from school mostly that, but I just hadn't dated. So because I was in a committed relationship for 3 years in college, so.
See, this is very interesting.
Oh.
Okay, everybody, I hope you're paying attention to this, because I'm thinking what I'm hearing here is that you were in a committed relationship for 3 years in college, but while you're in this relationship, you're making this wish list that you're keeping in your wallet.
Well, no, after, not during. I'd say after. I'd say after. It was kind of like, it was, summertime, we would go to the beach, and a bunch of, group of people, and, sit around, and I made my list, so.
That's okay, I think that's interesting in itself, because I feel like, me personally, I'm always looking forward as far as who is out there to date, who am I interested in moving forward, rather than let me go back to a month ago, or a class that I took a month ago or 2 months ago or whatever, and let me think about who I liked from there. Because you didn't think that she had moved on. You guys had graduated school. Isn't that normally when you say goodbye to everybody?
I really didn't know. I think that I knew she wasn't with them. She had been with a guy, I guess, who was a couple years older, and I think I had heard that she had broken up with him or something, but.
Okay.
But I thought I was fairly sure she was available, I guess.
Okay.
So anyway, so we kind of hit it off, and we actually had one breakup in the middle, and then I broke it off actually. So we dated for about, let's see. Well, altogether 3 years before we were married, but there was a break in the middle.
Well, what was the reason for that?
Well, I felt, I guess probably I should have gone with my initial feelings, but I just didn't think that we were compatible. So.
Like, what was it specifically? Like, was it a fight over something? Or?
No, it was. I think it was more of a personality thing, and just. I think to simplify it, I guess I would say I would say that I'm an easygoing kind of person, and most things don't upset me or rattle me or just in the course of, say, a relationship or anything. Just going out to dinner or picking a paint color or whatever. I'm easygoing. I'm not going to be dictatorial or whatever. But she was more of the of the unbending whatever by the book, I guess I'd call it. So.
Okay, so
I think that's kind of probably the story of our whole marriage. But I broke things off. I guess it was in the midsummer, I guess, and then. We actually got back together in November, and then I actually got a promotion, a big promotion. I was working in television production, and I almost doubled my salary because you work for peanuts in those days. But then I got a big promotion. I actually felt that I had enough money to get married, and then we got engaged at Christmas, and we were married the following. October. So.
Okay. Just so you know, also, I'm going to give you a heads up. We're going to jump a lot of different places because there's a lot of material to get in.
Right. I got you. Go ahead. Whatever. I'll just.
But just I like giving people, everybody, a heads up because otherwise I would talk to you forever about this.
That's okay. Whatever. Just
But
trying to give you a lay of the land, I guess. So.
Yeah, no, that's good. So basically, like, you had figured, was the reason, you're saying that, like, basically you got this promotion, and then you're like, okay, we have, like, a green light to be getting married now. Like, that was the deciding factor. Like, how did you decide, was there anything else involved in that, of, like, she's the one, like...
Well, yeah, I felt that she was the one, and I missed her when we had broken up. I kind of missed her, and, she actually kind of pursued me. I kind of stayed away, but she kind of pursued me, and it just, I don't know, I guess I just decided that she was the one.
Okay. So. And then when you were going to get married, or when you got married, is this in your head that this is forever? Or is it like, I'm just wondering what the thought is.
Well, I guess in terms of, traditional whatever thought, I guess I did think it was forever. I didn't feel that, I could bail out or whatever if it didn't work out. But
okay.
Again, I feel that I was really young because I have a son who's 24 now, and I know he's kind of like it's not a baby, but I know that he's not. I can't see him getting married at this point. It's just kind of, I don't think he knows what he wants, and but for some reason I felt that I knew what I wanted. So.
Okay. And also, I think that was also maybe the time too. You get married when you're younger. Okay, so let's just jump forward a little bit. I want to go in a little bit more with your marriage, but I'm just curious, how long into it? Today we're talking about having an affair, having several affairs. So how long into it was your first affair? We'll say your first flirtation and your first flare.
Little affair, a dalliance.
Yeah.
Well, it was actually, let's see, around about 4 years. And what happened was, what kind of whatever caused me to act up was she got pregnant with my first child, and she seemed to me kind of start to ignore me and whatever, just concentrate on all the preparations and all the attention. I guess it was I kind of felt that she withdrew attention from me.
Right. Okay.
And I wasn't feeling that good about that, so.
Okay, so that was like
went,
4 years into the relationship, 4 years into the marriage, she gets pregnant, not paying attention to you as much or at all.
Right, right.
And then you're looking elsewhere.
Kind of, it just something happened. I happened to be in France actually at the time, and I was working, and it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of happened.
So you had this affair while she was pregnant?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, we appreciate your honesty.
Well, what can I say? It was.
Well, I appreciate you being honest. I mean, it doesn't sound the greatest, you know.
It was kind of just a one night stand kind of, and I realized I was wrong, but.
So how does that happen? Like you're away on business. This was business, right?
Right.
Okay, so you're away on business. How many days were you away for?
For about a week.
A week.
Right.
And were you thinking about straying before this happened? Like, were you looking around for somebody before this?
No, I just had
Not
this
even
general.
Thinking about it?
No, I just had this general feeling that like I was just being ignored, and that it was almost as if in the deepest depths of my whatever feelings that I somehow had been that the script was that we got I came into the picture and she got pregnant, and it was like she didn't really need me except for the for the paycheck or whatever, but it just seemed like it's just in my that's what it seemed like to me, that
okay. So you meet this lady. Let's kind of paint the picture. Well, maybe we'll discuss like one of these affairs. Just
okay.
But so you meet this lady. Where do you meet her? And how does this progress?
Well, it turned out so I worked for one of the major networks, and it was actually D-Day. It was the anniversary of D-Day in France, and there were hundreds of people there covering the event. This was in 1984, and she actually worked for another network, and we were kind of collaborating on whatever coverage or what have you, so it just kind of, blossomed, I guess, because we were together at, several meetings, and then people would go out and socialize at nighttime, and, So
on what day, you meet her on day one, you're there for 7 days, or is it 5 days?
Well, I didn't meet her, I met her on day two, or what doesn't really, but
okay.
I didn't see her every day, but actually what they like in the movie business when they have a rap party, well, our rap party was in Paris, so everybody, after the D-Day events, everybody headed to Paris, so.
Okay.
So that was kind of a great,
So
I had never been to Paris.
How does it progress that you meet her, you guys are flirting, things are progressing, you're not seeing her every day, but you're there for just like a week.
Right.
And then on what day do you end up sleeping with her?
It was the last day, the final day, actually. Mostly because people were so exhausted that we were working 18-hour, 18-hour days. So people mostly during the work, period would just go home and collapse and sleep for 6 hours or whatever. But so this was the final, the final wrap-up party that we had. So.
How does this progress? Are you thinking about, you meet her, and then you're I'm interested, and then are you thinking before this happens, yes, I want to be with her?
I guess it was more of I think it was more of just a snap kind of decision. I mean, I thought she was attractive, and, I guess we danced a couple dances, and, it's just, we were out in a nightclub in Paris, and it just, it just kind of happened.
Okay, this is what we're getting to, because I know it kind of happens, but that's what I'm interested in.
I can't explain it.
That's what we're all interested in. Well, the questions are still coming, so
I know.
So I know.
Well,
you can't escape. So, okay, so...
Yeah, I can't really explain it. I mean, we were attracted to each other, and I think she was probably a little more, aggressive, shall we say? I can say I was seduced. I guess I could say I allowed myself to be seduced, but I was not the one pushing, but it just happens. So.
Okay, when you're dancing with her, do you feel weird, guilty about dancing with another woman that's not your wife?
No, not really. No.
So now, then, are you kissing on the dance floor?
No, I don't know, because our colleagues were around, so we didn't really, I mean, there were other people dancing. It was,
Okay, so then she says to you, you say to her, like, hey, you want to go back to my room?
Something like that. Yeah, I guess, or I just, I probably walked her back, or,
Okay, and then that's how
I just kind of like, let's go back. We're on the way out, and come on, why don't you come with me? Or I've got a, bottle of wine in my room, or one of those. Pick one.
Right. Okay.
Etchings.
Okay.
I think she had etchings. Actually, I think she had etchings in her room. No.
Okay, that she
Kidding.
wanted to show you or something.
I'm kidding. Postcard. Anyway.
So, okay. So you have this encounter.
Right.
While you're, having sex with her or afterwards, are you feeling guilty, weird, anything? And is she married? Is she saying something to you? She must know that you're married.
Oh, she knew I was married, yeah.
Okay.
She wasn't married, but she knew I was.
So was there any guilt, any weirdness?
Some guilt, yeah. I felt some guilt, yeah.
Did you talk to this lady about it or no?
No.
Okay. So it ends. That's it. You guys exchange phone numbers? You keep in touch? Anything like that?
Well, we kind of had our phone numbers, anyway. The only thing we did is when we came back, she actually worked in New York and I worked in New York. We had lunch, but I kind of said, I just can't, I can't continue, or, but she understood,
Right, okay.
We had a nice lunch.
Okay, but that was it. So you only, slept with her once, that was it?
Right.
Okay. Now you come back to the States. Do you have a conversation with your wife?
No. Oh, no, not at all, no.
You don't feel guilty?
Well, I mean, I probably, what I would tend to do is, if I had if we went to a party or maybe, not so much going, if we had people over and I had a few drinks, I'd have more than, if I wasn't driving, maybe I'd allow myself to have a few more drinks than normal. And then I would normally, at that scenario, I would start a fight, and then I would kind of call her out on, the way I felt, and and tell her, and then she would say, well, I'll work on it, or I'll, whatever, that kind of, we'd come to an agreement that things.
Okay.
What the mistake we made, of course, is we actually waited 19 years to go to counseling, so that was the first mistake. So, but we probably should have gone to counseling, and at that point, but we didn't. So it kind of just, it wasn't really sweeping it under the rug, but I mean, it was just,
But she didn't know about anything to be sweeping it under the rug.
No, I'm talking about that I was upset with the way she was treating me.
Right.
That's
okay.
all. I mean, that's what I would, that she was, and if, I had issues with affection, and she wasn't the most affectionate person, things like that, it was just the way she was, and, it was something that she didn't really change or want to change, or maybe she, couldn't change.
Okay. Let me give the number out for everybody listening, 347-324-3904. If you have a question or a comment for Tim, you guys are my co-hosts here. Feel free to call in. And, you ask them your questions directly or give comments directly, 347-324-3904. And, okay, so how long, so basically you didn't feel so much guilty, whatever. You were able to move on after this affair.
Right.
Like, you didn't
Right.
feel weird being with her again sexually. Like,
No, not really. No.
Okay.
No.
So how much longer then until, like, how many affairs did you have total?
2.
2.
Yeah.
Okay. So how much longer after this first, like, when was the next affair?
About a year and a half later, I guess.
And this was another one on business?
Yes, yes.
That it just happened type of thing again,
Something
right?
that happened, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so after the second one, well, okay, let's ask this,
Sure.
because I know we're getting a little bit closer with time here, but tell me, did your wife end up knowing at all about, during your relationship, during your marriage, did she end up knowing at all about the cheating?
No.
Never.
No.
Does she know after, did she know after the divorce?
I think she suspected, but I didn't, I didn't say anything.
Wow. So, okay, let me ask you this then. What's the reason for not sharing with her?
Well, I just felt that, there was no upside to sharing because it could really upset her, and, that's why anybody who has most people who have affairs don't discuss it. That's why it's an affair, Well, so.
I would think I don't know, sometimes it's a little hard for the guilt feeling, so that's why maybe sometimes a partner will tell the other one to, for selfish reasons, to go get the guilt off them.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. So she has your first child.
Right.
Now, when she was going through this first pregnancy, were you thinking, I don't really want to have a kid, or maybe I don't want to have a kid with her because our relationship's not going well? Or
well,
we
had that kind. We did have a little not a standoff, but we did have a moment where it was like, because she was on birth control, so then she just, she said, well, we should have a baby, and I wasn't sure about it, and so she, she went off of birth control, and I still had, mixed feelings about, I'm about staying with her, but then she got pregnant, so it was a bit of a surprise, not a bit of a surprise. She was off of birth control, but we did have a kind of a standoff. So.
Yeah, but did you tell her that you weren't so sure if you wanted to have?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to understand, was it a thing that you didn't know if you wanted to have a kid with her, or was it like that maybe you just wanted to have a kid? Like, what was the?
Well, no. It was. Well, I'll give you what had happened that kind of precipitated this. Was a friend of mine was married, just a close friend, was married a couple years before we were, and we would socialize with them all the time. We went on vacations, what have you. But they divorced after 2 years because they just had mostly sexual issues that she was apparently just brought up with all kinds of brainwashing techniques. But she was just she avoided sex at most of the time, and he was concerned that she was going to get pregnant, and the whole thing, and they were divorced right around the time right before my wife got pregnant. But I just remember him saying that you've got to be sure, if you think you're going to break up with her, then you can't allow a pregnancy. So that was kind of what drove it. So.
But
I did tell her that I wasn't sure, but she tried to. We talked about it, and I wasn't completely against it, but.
So then, she gets pregnant, you guys are going to have the baby, and that's it. It's kind of like is there then no thoughts about leaving her then, or?
No, I kind of, no, I said this is, I'm not leaving now, and I'm just going to have to, work things out.
Okay.
In my mind or whatever,
So
it's almost like I guess it's like compromising in a way. It's like whatever if I had, ideals about what marriage should be like, and I was just disappointed, but then I compromised. So that was it, and I was happy. I was very happy. I ended up having 3 children. So.
Right. Okay.
So.
So how does this happen then? Like if she gets pregnant, she has the kid. A year and a half, you have another affair. Like a year and a half later, you have another affair. She's probably pregnant around that time again, right?
Right.
How long were the kids spaced out?
Well, yeah, she was not yet pregnant. I guess, whatever. My second child was born in '88. I'm trying to think of the time. '88 she was born. So it was she wasn't yet pregnant, but so.
So why do you continue? Like, why do you continue in a relationship if you're looking elsewhere for?
Well, because
fun and excitement.
Well, first of all, I'm a Catholic, or I'm a fallen Catholic now. But it's kind of like you're expected to, maybe it's a false way of living, but you kind of. You have to, take care of your family and be there. I guess I kept hoping things would get better. I guess is what I was. I'm an optimist, so.
Yeah, but your actions, though. I mean, I don't know too much about the Catholic religion, but I'm pretty sure that cheating is not part of that.
Well, no.
So how do you justify that in your head that it's like I'm staying together because I'm hoping that the relationship will work out. I want to take care of my family, but then I'm having an affair.
Well, because it's like the way Bill Clinton operates. That they say he had, he slept with maybe 1,000 women or something, or pick a number. But it's compartmentalization. It's that I shut it out of my mind. I know that it's there, but I compartmentalize it, and that the idea of the affair, I didn't feel like horrible guilt or what have you. It was just something that I was able to, shut out of my mind, So
okay.
I wanted to add one thing, actually, for all the people listening out there.
Yeah.
The mistake, I was going to say that the mistake that I believe I made was that we did not live together before we were married because I lived at home, and then I went to college, and I had a place at college, and I basically stayed with had an apartment with my college friends, but she actually lived at home, and she was able to commute to college. So the thing is that we used to spend weekends, and we'd stay in hotels, and we'd go skiing and go to the beach, and before we were married, but I think we were always on our best behavior, and we didn't really know what it was like to live together. So that was another key to the to the problem that.
Okay.
So.
Okay,
so there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so you have the kids, you have the life. 19 years later. So what happens that after 19 years? That's a long time.
Right.
After 19 years, that you're like, now we're going to finally get a divorce.
Well, because it just seemed to be that the same issues that we had were just continued to be the same issues. So, and we went to counseling, and we went to about 8 sessions of counseling, but I guess I thought that the counselor was more like a referee and was supposed to tell me that I was right and she was wrong, but they didn't operate that way. But things just kind of broke down, and the counselor said, well, we're here to decide whether you're going to stay married or not, and, So
what happens? Is this because your kids are older then you feel the freedom to decide about the fate of your relationship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, partially, yeah. They weren't little, well, one of them was 9 years old, but they weren't little kids. But I just felt like, in my case, that I just could see my life like, running away, and I was 45, and, I just, it seemed like I didn't make her happy, and that, she just barely tolerated me. So it was like, I don't know. It just had gone on for, it wasn't like drag out, battles all the time. They were just little quiet,
things building over time.
Digs and insults, right? Whatever. So
okay.
It just kind of unraveled. So.
Okay, so, all right, so the relationship is over. You guys get a divorce. It's done with. Because I'd like to just kind of, we're nearing the end here. And again, if anybody wants to call and share your question or comment, 347-324-3904. And also, if you guys would like to start calling, if you have a question about your own love life and you would like intuitive guidance, then feel free to get in queue for that. 347-324-3904. So, okay, so you get out of the relationship, and what are you doing now? Like I'm not now as in now, but I'm saying like after you get out of the relationship. You're in your mid-40s.
Right.
You're feeling this freedom. Like what kind of life do you want to create for yourself? Like what are you thinking when you get out of that? Is it like I don't want to be with anyone now?
No, I wanted to find someone that I thought, after watching so many, eHarmony commercials, or I wanted to find the perfect person. I'm not subscribing to that. I'm just saying I wanted to find someone who was more compatible with me. So I definitely, I wasn't gonna. I didn't want to live alone, and
So how long after the divorce do you go on your first date?
It's about a year and a half, I guess.
Okay.
So,
and what's that like? Is it a little bit weird explaining that you're a divorcee, or like is this person divorced too?
Yes, she was. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I use this. There's a service called It's Just Lunch.
Okay.
Which is a dating service, and so they set me up with. It's a kind of an odd thing because they have like 5 times as many women as men, or 10 times as many women as men signed up. And it cost $1,000 to join. And anyway, they sent me. If I wanted to go on a date like 10 nights in a row, I could because they had so many women, that. How
does that work? It's $1,000 for like X amount of dates?
Yes, for 20 introductions.
Okay.
I think it was 20 introductions. Yeah.
So that's how, like, getting back into the game, you're thinking, let me go to this kind of introduction service.
Well, actually, I had worked with them. They were a client. The company was a client, and I had worked with them, and I had met the founder. So I just thought it sounded like an interesting company. So they're a national service. So.
Right. Okay.
So anyway, I went on. They set me up with some nice dates, and then I ended up. Maybe I went on about 8 or 10 dates, I guess, and. I met a woman who, I guess we dated for about 3-4 months or so, and then we broke it off. But I met some nice people.
Okay, so going into like the field again of love, relationships, how are you doing? Like, did you have a talk with yourself of like, I'm going to do this differently, or like, how did that go?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think I did. Yeah. Just, I thought about trying to fix some of the things that I saw as needed to be fixed in my persona, and then also, thinking about the kind of person I'd want to meet as well. So.
Okay, so now the woman that you're dating now, how did you guys meet?
We met actually on chemistry.com.
Okay. And
I had 2 other relationships in between, so it's been 10 years, but I had a a 3-year relationship, and then I had a 2-year relationship, and then so now I'm in a present, which is about a year and a half.
Okay. So, I mean, briefly, what were those other relationships like? I mean, you're dating now to get married again, or you're just dating to have company?
Well, in the case of the first girl, she's kind of unique because she had been with a guy for 7 years who kept haranguing her to marry him, and she didn't want to get married, so she stated that. So I was thinking about marriage, but she basically was not the marrying kind, I guess. So.
And that was the first one that you
dated?
That
was the first serious relationship, yeah.
So
and it was a great relationship. We had a great time together. And
so why did that relationship end? Because she didn't want to get married, you wanted to get married?
No, it just came to it was the same kind of a thing where we had different personalities. We kind of, I guess, compromised in the interest of the relationship, but we just had kind of different personalities that didn't quite meld, I guess. So.
Okay.
But we had a great relationship. I still think about her. She's very I don't know. She was a very, very nice person, and
And that was the one that was 3 years?
That was a 3-year, yes.
Okay. So then how long was the next one for, and how much after that?
Oh, for 2 years. The next one was for 2 years. I took I guess it was within 6 months I met somebody else, and that was a 2-year.
And what was that relationship like?
Well, that was a pretty wild relationship because she was incredibly sexual. So, and I'm fairly sexual, so we kind of and we got along personality-wise too, but we had just a fairly wild love life, I guess you could put it. So.
But okay, so was that a relationship that you were looking for marriage again? I mean, I'm trying to understand
Possibly.
what your mindset is of like you get out of a divorce, you get out of a marriage for 19 years, and then there's a mindset to get married again, or like how.
Well, I don't know. Well, in the case of this second woman, she actually had been married 3 times. So, and the last time she was a widow, and her husband had died. But I'm not saying I don't think she was in any rush to get married. But it just I think it was more. I don't know. I think if you commit to someone, I mean, maybe it sounds corny, but I don't know if you necessarily have to get married. Officially married if you're going to be committed to someone.
Okay.
So
I don't think
maybe I wasn't thinking that. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm really. I mean, I don't have anything against marriage, but I'm not so sure if that's for me.
For you anymore, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why did that relationship end?
I guess it kind of. I don't know. Maybe I'll say it was played out or something, but it just we again had some differences, and it just came to a point where we decided not to stay together.
Okay, so like the same kind of personality stuff.
Kind of a personality thing, yeah. Kind of that, yeah. Personality type,
Okay.
But I mean, we did have a wild, we got back together like 3 times and for like makeup sex 3 times. So.
Okay.
So it was all around,
So then, when you said you've been dating this lady that you're living with now for a year and a half?
Year and a half, yep.
And how's that relationship going?
It's very good. It's going really well.
Is this the first one that you've lived with since your marriage, or
no?
I've lived with the other one too?
I lived with the other one. I lived with the other 2.
Okay.
So
what do your kids like? What do your kids think about? Like, I mean, first off, is your wife remarried?
No, she's dating, but she's not remarried. No.
Okay. Do you still think about your wife? Like, do you wonder about maybe getting back
Not really.
together with her?
Initially it was difficult, but I guess it's just no. I mean, it just took some time. I mean, I did think about her, well, a lot. It was very difficult to because we had been together so long. It was just like a psychological bond, or it was just a very odd feeling. When we broke up, I was depressed, and just went through a whole number of things. But it was really difficult.
Sure
it was just difficult. It's just like a bond I never, because I was so upset in many ways, and that I felt that I would just be happy to be away from her, But then the moment I was away from her, I started going through all kinds of, problems, psychological issues. So.
And did you guys ever get back together, either to hook up or at least to just kind of have a little rendezvous of like, I miss you, maybe we should reconsider type of thing?
No, that never happened.
Okay.
No, but we just went through a round of graduations and parties, and we are very cordial to each other, and it's just, which is great for the kids, so.
And what do the kids like? Do your kids say anything to you about like? What kind of comments do they say to you?
No, they.
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Oh, I thought I lost you. Okay.
It says I'm off the queue. It said I was off the queue or something. So.
No, I still hear you though. It's okay.
Okay. But anyway, they don't really. They're not. My kids play kind of close to the vest, but they, over the time they've certainly have been very nice to, my girlfriends, and they've, we've gone on trips and vacations and such, and I guess everybody's getting along as well as they can. They don't really, ask me questions or, so.
Okay.
I think at some point I think I want to sit down and, I almost did on Father's Day because they all three were here with me, and I almost felt like I should sit down and say, listen, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I want you to know the following. But
exactly? I mean, we're rounding up here. We have maybe 12 minutes left. It doesn't look like we're going to be taking any calls today, just because, the interview was interesting, and we had a lot to cover.
Right.
But I mean, what would you? What would you be saying to them? Like, what do you want to say to them as far as, like, is it just like setting the record straight of what happened between you and, their mom?
I guess I would say, I love you guys, and I'm sorry for anything that I did that caused the problems, and I guess I would even encourage them to ask me questions, but I have in the past, but they never say, no, we don't have any questions. So.
Right. Okay.
But I think I just would like to think about writing them a letter or something permanent before, just something, because the way things happen,
Mm-hmm.
Could get hit by a truck, so, or anything like that.
And maybe this is the practice. This is the practice interview, maybe for you.
Right.
Sharing your story, then it's like, okay, I did that. I'm ready to share with my kids now. I can take the next step.
Right.
Maybe to just share some stuff with them to, I guess, clear the way or to facilitate the healing, again.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. I'm just trying to think if I have any, I think that we answered a lot of stuff. I'm just thinking if I have any final...
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. We covered a lot of ground today. Let me give the number again for anybody listening who wants to call in to, if you have a question for Tim or a comment, 347-324-3904. If you have any questions about, here we have a man who was in a relationship, in a marriage, and anything about being married for almost 20 years, anything about getting divorced, or any questions about having affairs. Anything like that. We covered a lot of stuff. I think my question would just be what was it like, if we're talking about, you were with this woman for 19 years. I mean, I know you had some affairs in the beginning there. It kind of, it seems like they were in the beginning of the relationship, or the beginning of the marriage. I mean, what's it like then to be with the same woman, having sex, however often, and then getting out of the relationship and then with somebody new? Like, what is it? I mean, okay, two questions. What is it like having sex with somebody for so long?
Right.
And then the second question would be, what is it like having sex with them with somebody new? And is it just kind of like, oh, thank God it's somebody new, like I'm not bored by this?
Depends on the somebody new. No.
Right. Yeah.
No. I would say it's well.
We only have 9 minutes left.
Okay, I know. I'm thinking. I would just say when you're with somebody for that long, I think probably within the first year or so, you kind of establish your sexual life in a way, unless for some reason you start going out and buying latex suits and, clown costumes or what. I mean, it's kind of like you kind of know what for the first year or so, you kind of establish that. So you just multiply that times, 20. And I mean, I know sometimes people, say, well, let's do a getaway. It's usually the kind of a thing. Let's go away to a hotel. Let's spice it up. Let's do this. Or, so people do that, and as long as you kind of spice things up. But then being with a completely different person, it's kind of amazing because it's just like a whole new, whole new ball game. I guess I don't know how you describe it, but especially if you're.
What happens if you're in a relationship for a long time again? And I would just say, I mean, let's just say a long time. We'll just, for the sake of this example, we'll just say maybe 3 years. Because you're saying you get into the rhythm for the first year, maybe first year and a half, you get into your rhythm of sex.
Yeah.
So what do you do? I mean, is it like, okay, I'm just going to deal with this for the next?
Well, no, I think that if it's me, then I'm going to try not to get into some rut or whatever compromise, let's say. But I mean to try to try to spice up your sex life or whatever. Hopefully the other person will want to do that. But I mean try for some kind of something to not change, but something different, I guess. There's only so many ways to,
Yeah.
There's only so many ways to do it, I guess. But.
Right. Okay.
So.
Okay.
All right.
I think that those are all my questions. I want to thank you for coming and sharing
Blaire.
your story so openly. I guess, we have a few minutes left here, and is there any questions that you have? I mean, let's do it this way. Do you have any questions for me as far as your relationship now or general relationship questions?
Well, so since you are the love guru, then listening to my case and listening to my story, what advice do you have, or have you heard similar stories, or
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, as far as the sex thing, I mean, I definitely there does seem to be a theme going on over there. That I definitely have heard a lot of that. You get into a routine, and it just is what it is, type of thing. I think, normally we have time today, so I'll see what comes up to my head, in my head right now as far as tips to learn. Usually, for everybody else, I do this in the beginning of the show the week afterwards, but I'm going to share it now. So what are some tips that we could learn from Tim's story? I think number one, I think there seems to be a theme in one relationship to the next as far as communication. And I know that you're saying that you're an easygoing guy, but it sounds like to me that you would want to assert yourself a little bit more. Even if you think that if something happens, even if you're it doesn't really bother me because I'm so easygoing, I feel like it does. I feel like it does bother you, and those things grow. So, in the relationship that you're in now and moving forward, I would just really practice I was what I call like speaking your truth.
I got you.
Anything that comes up, I would really share that right away so that it doesn't build up and anything like that.
I got you.
The other thing that comes to mind is, I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of wondering as far as like, moving, in this relationship now and then moving forward, whatever happens with anybody, I'm kind of wondering as far as like the affair stuff, because, it's something that it's something that you say that, you kind of compartmentalize or whatever. I can't say that word, but like, like.
That's the word.
Okay. Some words get me, but like.
It's Bill Clinton. That's what he did. That's what Bill did. I did it on a smaller scale.
I'm just kind of wondering if, like, in moving forward, is this, and everybody has their own definition of what a relationship is, but like, is this the type of relationship you want to have as far as like, if the woman I'm dating, or if I get married again, the woman I'm married to, is it okay? Is it okay that I go cheat on her rather than talk about the relationship? Or is it okay if I...
You're right.
And I think it would just, I know it's maybe the harder path to go. I think that this happens to a lot of people, is maybe it's just easier to go outward rather than inward and kind of examine, like, okay, she's neglecting me, and go through those emotions, which are difficult for somebody to handle, because it's that fear that everybody holds of being rejected.
Right.
So to really work on that with yourself rather than, and I'm just kind of, I'm wondering if that would be an option as far as moving forward. And then it also makes me wonder if, like, the woman that you're dating now, if she's aware of those affairs, and if maybe she's had affairs too, or like, have you guys had a discussion about that?
Well, she is aware. Yeah, she is aware, actually. I did tell her.
And what's like, has she ever had an affair?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
No. She was married for 20 years as well, so.
Okay.
Divorced, yeah. Her husband
because
married.
say your relationship, God forbid, but like, say your relationship doesn't go the greatest with her at some point.
Right.
Is that acceptable that you go do that and maybe don't share it? How do you look at that now, many years later?
No, it's not. I don't think it's acceptable. It's just, it's not.
So you wouldn't do that? You wouldn't, like,
no,
how would you deal with that?
No, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have an affair again, no.
Okay.
Because it's, I did feel, I knew it was wrong. There was some guilt, but it's just something that I know it's, maybe I was still, fairly young when I did it, but, it's not the best.
And this is to everybody. Oh, and I just noticed here we have a minute left.
Okay.
This is to everybody. There's, these are our lives. Like, everybody has their own individual life, and it's really your choice on how you want to live it. And it's, no one can judge you until they're in your position, and it's just kind of deciding of how do you want to live your life. And it is definitely easier to go out there and, we'll talk about have affairs. It's definitely easier to maybe go do that or, run away from the problem. It's definitely a little bit harder, makes you more vulnerable to kind of really confront yourself and your partner as far as, what's going on here. You know what, we're having the countdown. We're cut off here. But thank you very much, Tim.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Blaire.
you coming on.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Blaire.
Thank you.
Okay,
and bye-bye. And for everybody else, stay tuned. Next week we have a really good show also. We have a guy who's coming on. There's a picture of him on the website here. And the reason why I'm sending you to the website to check him out is he's single and he is hating it. So we're going to hear his story. And he thinks that the main reason why he's single is because his weight. He's a little bit overweight. These are his words. And he thinks that that's what's keeping him single. So tune in for his story. And until next week, I wish you all the best in love. And that's it. Send me emails. Let me know how you thought about the show. And please favorite the show. I love when you do that. Thank you. Lots of love.
Thank you for listening to Love Life Heart Confessions with intuitive heart healer, the love guru, Blaire Allison. Blaire can be found on the web at loveguru.net and datingtipsfordudes.com. You can also connect with Blaire on Facebook and Twitter. See you there.